Creating my philosophy of teaching and learning encouraged me to critically reflect on my image of the child, of how they learn, and who I am as a teacher. We all hold different images of the child, and I realise the image I have will make a considerable difference to how I approach my role as an educator. It will be noticeable through my teaching style, interactions, and quality of relationships I build, the experiences, resources, and environments I set up, and the way I conduct myself professionally. It is where my teaching and learning journey begins. Having worked with children for many years, I completed the Philosophy of Education questionnaire to help identify the thoughts already embedded in my actions. It was no surprise to discover that my teaching and learning philosophy is guided by the progressive and humanistic approaches to education. Progressive teachers understand the importance of active learning using a variety of resources, problem solving, critical thinking, and developing social skills to work effectively with others. Teachers leaning towards a humanistic approach believe a student's thoughts, feelings, and emotions are central to the learning process, and that learners are self-motivated to reach their potential and develop holistically in an environment where they feel safe and a sense of belonging. This mind map shows my initial ideas about who I am as a teacher and the best ways in which children learn. I will explore this in depth later in the presentation through my 5 principles of pedagogy. My image of the child has formed over time, shaped by my childhood memories, personal experiences, and knowledge and practices learned as a childcare educator and an education student. Children are evergreen trees. All evergreen trees are unique. Even the same species will vary in size, shape, colour, and require slightly different conditions to grow. Evergreens produce vibrant green leaves all year round, bringing colour to the world when everything else lay dormant. These trees essentially need 4 basic elements to grow: soil, water, sunlight, and air, which work in interconnected ways. It is the quality of the elements in the environment that will ultimately determine its potential growth. The soil provides stability and enables deep roots to grow, helping support and connect them to their life source. The stronger the connection to the soil, the sturdier the tree will be to withstand the environmental conditions. The air is the atmosphere where the tree is placed, and given enough space to grow, water to absorb, and sunlight to warm and energize, the growth of the tree is boundless. The absence of any of these, however, is likely to hinder the growth or cause long-term damage. Evergreens are beautiful by themselves, but simply breathtaking in a forest where they are grouped closely together to feed off and use each other for support. Here are my 5 principles of teaching and learning based on my metaphor. Principle 1. Children are all unique and have an innate desire to learn. Every child is an individual with unique combination of social, emotional, intellectual, and physical qualities that prompt them to learn and develop in diverse ways and at different rates. A natural curiosity and inborn desire to interact and make sense with their world will always drive their ability to learn. Every tree is unique. Some trees stand tall and proud, others lean to the side or have short, thick, stumpy trunks, smooth, papery bark, or bendy branches. Like a child, they are all different and all beautiful. We cannot force a tree to grow, but under the right conditions, it will flourish on its own. It will take what it needs from the environment for support, often twisting its roots to reach further or deeper into the soil for nutrients, or leaning on an angle to capture the last rays of sunlight. Under harsh conditions, they will halt their growth and become weak, but with a little extra support of a stake or another tree to lean on, they will soon be strong enough to withstand the current climate. Children also need the support of their environment and the people in it to help them along the way, whether it be through parents, teachers, peers, or other professionals in the community. In a forest, not all trees will grow at the same rate, even when planted at the same time. Just like the children in the classroom, there will always be an understory of slowly growing trees. Those who have not quite reached the canopy yet, but given time, will steadily grow upwards. The mainstream trees that grow side by side, balanced in height and thickness, and the emergent layer, the ones already poking through the canopy and exceeding every expectation. So how does my principle link to theory? Well, both brain-based and humanistic approaches to learning agree that the potential growth of a learner is boundless. since they are innately motivated and prepared to learn from their environment from birth. Froebel also claimed that children were born with knowledge and skills to learn from birth as well as a spiritual essence. He asserted that each child should be recognised as an individual and be educated according to their needs and interests, as well as be encouraged to express the creativity that comes from within. Howard Gardner celebrated the individual capabilities that each learner has through his theory of multiple intelligences. He considered that there are many ways to demonstrate intelligence and that some learners have strengths in areas such as literacy and numeracy, where others have musical, spatial, movement, or social intelligences. He believes we learn best when we draw upon our unique combinations of intelligence to complete tasks because we are more motivated and likely to be successful. In my classroom, I will celebrate diversity, have high expectations of every child, value their differences, and find ways to support each one of them to achieve their learning outcomes. There is no one size fits all when it comes to teaching and learning, so I will have meaningful interactions with each child in order to assess their level of understanding, their interests and preferred learning styles, to provide an environment that is motivating and responds to their uniqueness as well as the uniqueness of the other children in the room. I will promote alternate ways of knowing and learning through everyday instruction and assessment tasks where children can demonstrate diverse ways of achieving the same goal through a variety of means such as written work, oral presentations, discussions, hands-on activities and role plays. They will be encouraged to work as individuals, in small and large groups, in tasks that are challenging for all. Principle 2. A sense of belonging is vital for learning. I believe learning and well-being are closely connected. Children who learn in environments where they feel safe, supported, valued and respected are better able to process information and develop holistically. A learner who has had their basic needs met, a strong sense of well-being and a connectedness at school will be happier, more motivated to learn, have the confidence to participate, ask questions, contribute to discussions, consider new ideas and take risks to extend their learning. So how does this link to my metaphor? Trees all have a sense of place and belonging when they are deeply rooted to the earth. This strong connection provides stability and enables the tree to absorb the water, light and air needed to grow. Similarly, the earth symbolizes the connectedness we want the child to feel. A child who has strong connections to their family, friends, teachers at school will feel trusting and secure in their environment and therefore ready to absorb the new information each day. Just like a tree receives warmth from the sunlight, a child needs a caring, warm, classroom environment to give them the confidence to face challenges. A tree that is thirsty for water cannot grow, just like a child who is hungry or stressed cannot learn. So how does my principle link to theory? As a teacher, I will create a safe, supportive classroom where children feel valued and respected and a sense of belongingness. I will do this by building relationships with the child and their family, use resources familiar to each of their cultures, and through the layout of the classroom and planned experiences. For instance, ensuring that the whole class can sit on the carpet at group time, positioning desks in small groups, encouraging peer scaffolding, and small and large group activities or support social collaboration. Consistent classroom rules will encourage respect for others, which I will role model with appropriate interactions and language. I will be mindful and respect each individual's personalities and encourage, not force, participation. A small gesture that would make an immense difference to a child would be to have a fruit bowl in the classroom so the children could help themselves at any time. I considered this during my last practicum when children would arrive at school without a healthy snack or adequate food in their lunch boxes, often sitting away from the others or voicing their hunger. If children could help themselves to a fruit bowl, it would improve their concentration and assist in feeling a sense of belongingness. Principle 3. Children learn by constructing knowledge through active participation in experiences that are challenging and meaningful. I believe children learn best through doing, by observing, listening, exploring, experimenting, creating, asking questions, and using their senses. They are able to retain new information easier and develop positive dispositions to learning through enjoyment they encounter. When an experience is challenging, real and meaningful, the learner develops a hunger for understanding that will foster deep levels of thinking. Children who actively construct their own knowledge become independent, confident, and competent individuals. So, how does this link to my metaphor? Well, trees, like children, respond to and are a product of their environment. When we trim a tree, we encourage growth, often hoping for new buds to form. This is similar to the synapses in the learner's brain that is constantly being trimmed to encourage development. Also, inside the trunk of a tree are a number of rings that increase each year and as a result make the trunk wider and stronger. The first ring, the bark, symbolizes the information the learner has already accommodated and ready to replenish with new understandings. The second ring, the cambium, continuously makes new cells that enables the tree to grow, which is comparable to the learner engaging in new experiences to form new knowledge. The sapwood and hardwood rings represent how the learner processes and stores the new information to fit into the existing understandings. Water is also crucial for growth, and here it symbolizes the free-flowing information the child absorbs to grow. In a thirst for knowledge, the roots or prior understandings of the child suck the water through the trunk to reach the branches, twigs, and leaves. The more information they absorb, combined with the right conditions, the larger the canopy will grow. Like the transparency of water, the learning objectives also need to be known to the learners. The teacher's role is to translate and scaffold the information into a language the learner can comfortably absorb. The constructionist approach is one of the most influential theories in education and supported by a number of theorists including Vygotsky, Piaget, Dewey, Pesalotti, Montessori and Bruner. Constructionists believe that meaningful learning occurs when children engage actively in making sense of their world by building on their knowledge and understanding rather than passively absorbing what they are taught. Motivation is one of the key factors to this type of learning, with the teacher's role to guide the learner and allow learning to unfold naturally. Piaget in particular believed that children construct new knowledge through a process of organisation and adaptation, where they integrate new experiences into existing understandings and then adjust these new understandings into new experiences. Constructing meaning is therefore an active and continuous process. This is considered to produce learners who are self-directed and motivated to learn, as well as have the skills to know how to learn. As a teacher, I'll encourage my students to be actively involved in their learning by planning exciting and stimulating experiences based on real-life scenarios. For instance, when learning about a country, we could pretend to board an airplane and discover the country like a tourist would. Or in mathematics, the learning could be personalised through counting, grouping, or measuring classmates or familiar items. To be motivated, the children also need to know why they are learning something and why it is important to know. I'll explain the objective of the task so they understand the goal to be achieved and also help them establish their own challenging learning goals. Learning centres, variety of concrete materials, involvement in small groups, and methods of inquiry will be all present in my classroom. I will create a climate where students feel safe to ask questions and confident to make mistakes. I will provide adequate time for students to practice, consolidate, and reflect on their learning. I will give constructive feedback and provide scaffolding at the right time, at the right level. Principle 4. Learning is maximised when the content is relevant to the children, their community, and practices beyond the classroom. I believe children learn best when the content to be learned is based on their prior knowledge, backgrounds, needs, and interests, and is deemed by the learner to be useful to know and relevant to their lives now and into the future. Children need to be challenged and inspired in their learning. They want to incorporate the technology they love into their classroom experiences, work with their peers to solve real-life problems, and share their knowledge with family members and people in their community. Teaching children the skills and knowledge that will be valued in the 21st century will prepare them for future success. Can you imagine this tree in the middle of a dense forest? How many people would stop and admire the effort made in creating such a stunning masterpiece? The tree does not need to be sculpted this way to survive, nor is it relevant or valued in the forest community. Likewise, if we teach a child knowledge that is not relevant to them or cannot be used in the real world, their community, it is likely to be of no benefit. However, if the tree is shaped so that it, or the other trees around it, has room to grow, it will be valued and appreciated by all the forest community. So how does this link to theory? In Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory, he understood development to be strongly influenced by both biological and environmental factors such as family, friends and neighbourhoods. Since most of our learning occurs outside the classroom in these informal social situations, it is important that classroom learning builds and extends on these experiences in a spiral way so we can transfer the knowledge to other meaningful situations. Dewey and Montessori, among others, also advocated that children will be challenged and motivated to learn when engaged in topics of interest that affect them in their daily lives, with one of Dewey's main aims being to design a curriculum that reflected the situations children faced as members of a community living in the modern world. Working with students in the classroom, I only get to see a small glimpse of who they really are in a limited context. By taking an interest and sharing their excitement of happenings outside the classroom, I will be able to tailor the curriculum better to meet their strengths, needs, and interests. I will consistently use the KWL strategy to open up avenues for investigation. Asking children what they already know will draw upon their prior understandings and address any misconceptions. Finding out what they want to know can assist in scaffolding the knowledge in a spiral way, and knowing what they have learned will enable me to assess their understanding and give constructive feedback. Principle 5. Self-awareness and intercultural understanding underpin the learning process. All learning takes place through social interactions, so as learners, it is essential we have a deep understanding of who we are by understanding our own culture, values, strengths and motivations, as well as the awareness of the culture of others, so we can make connections and collaborate effectively. With technology bringing people closer, it is extremely important children are equipped with the knowledge and skills to become active and informed citizens for an interconnected world. Trees are not competitors, but cooperators connected to each other through an intricate underground system of pathways that allow them to communicate and share resources such as carbon with each other. They make connections above the ground by protecting each other from strong winds and gently touching their leaves. By networking, they are able to achieve more than they possibly could on their own. This is comparable to children working together, communicating, building on their shared interests, negotiating difference, and demonstrating empathy for each other. Bargotzi's social cultural theory focused on the connections between people and the cultural context in which they participate. He believed that social interactions and language had a major influence on the development of children's thinking, and that understandings were deepened when interactions between the learner and more knowledgeable peer were scaffolded, which is known as the zone of proximal development. A child's self-concept can be heavily influenced by my own or other peers' interactions, so building relationships are of essential importance. I would like my classroom to be a community of learners where we respect each other's differences and work together in harmony. Dialogue will be encouraged through discussions, problem solving, questioning and humour. I will guide the children's learning with the strategy of I do, we do, you do, and actively encourage peers to mentor each other and work collaboratively through partnering, small and large groups. My 5 principles of teaching and learning will influence and inform my practice and decision making. However, just like an evergreen tree, I too will continue to grow and evolve over time through experience, new research, and collaboration with other professionals. Thank you for listening.